ZANU-PF unrolled its 2013 election campaign and manifesto on the 5th of July 2013 at the Zimbabwe grounds, while the MDC unrolled its election campaign and manifesto on the 7th of July 2013 at Rudaka Stadium in Marondera. Other political parties with candidates vying for presidential, senatorial, National Assembly and local council positions are set to unveil their election campaigns and manifestos for the landmark harmonized elections on the 31st of July this year. Thank you so much for joining us. This is a special edition of Melting Pot. Remember, Melting Pot is that program which unravels those issues you hear and talk about each and every day. My name is Oscar Bambuga, and I hope I find you well. Before we start, yes, tell your neighbor, Melting Pot has just started. Now, the election mood has gripped the nation, and campaigns have become the order of the day in the various constituencies across the country. What are those issues taking center stage in this year's elections? What is the Zimbabwean national interest? What should be the guiding principle when enunciating policies that advance the Zimbabwean national interest? Now, to discuss these and other issues, we have invited to the studio. Let me start by introducing Mr. Tafadzwa Musarara from ZANU-PF. Thank you so much for joining us on Melting Pot.
Thank you, and thank you for having me.
Also on the program, we've got Mr. Charles Mangongera from the MDC. Mangongera, thank you so much for joining us on Melting Pot.
Thank you very much for inviting us.
Right, I'll start with you, Mr. Mangongera. What would you say are the issues taking center stage in these harmonized elections?
Well, I think that one of the things that many Zimbabweans have said, and which is an observation that many people who have followed the Zimbabwean story are saying, is that in this election, Zimbabweans are moving to issues, and they want to see which party is going to offer them a better future in terms of ensuring that they have comfortable lives, in terms of ensuring that they have food on the table, in terms of ensuring that they have shelter, and that Zimbabwe becomes the prosperous country that it is supposed to be. So a lot of Zimbabweans that are debating right now would say those are the issues that we would want to see.
Mr. Musara, you also share the same sentiments, or you've got a different line of thought in as far as the issues taking center stage in these forthcoming harmonized elections?
Well, from a Revolutionary Party perspective, the issues taking center stage is the issue of economy, regaining the control of our key economic active sectors, making sure that Zimbabweans don't not only work for companies or for entities, but they own them. Through owning, you'll be able to control. The other issue also is to do with the youth empowerment. The youths have to be empowered. Our geodemographics or demographics shows that the population is bigger between age of 18 and 45. So there is also deliberate steps that are aimed to, or going to be taken by ZANU-PF to ensure that the youths are empowered. Further, it also goes to empower the vulnerable groups, ensuring that from where the communities they are staying or living, certain provisions, and very fundamental provisions, service provisions, social services are going to be addressed.
Now, Mr. Mangongera, in your opinion, would you say these elections are issue-based or personality-driven?
Well, I think that by and large, you know, these elections are issue-based. Of course, you know, this is politics. You cannot rule out the issue of personalities coming into the fray. I mean, I've followed the campaign so far, and already we have had, you know, incidences here and there where issues of personality have come into the debate. But I think that by and large, a lot of Zimbabweans would want to see you know, issues of livelihoods being discussed. People want to understand what it is that the parties are going to do that is going to ensure that there is food on the table. Remember, we are coming out of more than a decade of stagnation. We are coming out of more than a decade of serious deindustrialization. We are coming out of a decade, more than a decade of joblessness. And that in itself, you know, has caused a lot of suffering for many Zimbabweans. you come from the same, probably areas where I come from. The number one issue that many people are talking about today is that of unemployment, and in particular the youth have been affected. Statisticians will tell us that 80% of Zimbabweans are formally unemployed, meaning that only 20%, if not less, are actually gainfully employed. And such a scenario, I don't think that it's sustainable. So if we want to build a modern society, if we want to build a stable Zimbabwean society, we have to address the issue of unemployment. It's not healthy that, our youths wake up every day, they have nothing to do, they end up, sitting on the bridge at the corner, in some cases even smoke marijuana and, engage in all kinds of vices that we do not want to see in our society. So we really need to address that. And through this manifesto, which is the MDC's agenda for real transformation in Zimbabwe, we outline very comprehensively our plan for ensuring that we create 1 million jobs in the first 5 years of an MDC government. And we are saying it's doable. We have the plan. In fact, in some quarters, we've even said maybe by saying 1 million, we are being conservative, because what this country needs is a turnaround in terms of the governance framework, in terms of the political framework, in terms of the investment climate that we're going to create, and then we're going to be able to generate those jobs. There are many other issues that I'll speak to, I'm hoping, that are going to be addressing some of the major fundamental issues that as a party we are saying we need to take care of if we are going to create a prosperous Zimbabwean society, a Zimbabwean society that takes its place, in the 21st century and claims its rightful place as a rich country. This country is endowed with minerals. It's endowed with human skill. It's endowed with all. Okay,
let me just hold you there, Mr. Charles Mangongera. When we return from the break, Mr. Tafadzwa Musarara will come in with his response. This is a special edition of Melting Pot. Please don't go anywhere. Welcome back. This is a special edition of Melting Pot, and we continue with the pot. Now, Mr. Musarara, are these elections about Charles, Petronella, Panganai, or it's about issues? What is it about?
Well, it's a cocktail. It's both, actually. We want to look at the issues, and I think quite a number of people know that we have a problem in our economy. We have a problem in terms of youth empowerment, the social services. Graft is too much especially in the local authorities, which were mainly led or managed by MDC. But we also want to look at out of the recovery plan, the manifestos, the plan that will take us forward, the brand of the person who's going to lead that challenge or that operation. In our case, we have a brand in President Robert Mugabe. He's a revolutionary. What he says, he commits to it. He is unwavering. And definitely, we would, any electorate or any ordinary electorate or any person who's looking forward to voting the 31st July would look at the manifestos and say, are these feasible? Because these are politicians. Do they have the character to deliver on the essentials that they are committing to the electorate? Definitely, it is issues of personality. You look at President Mugabe, he has told that land is irreversible, and the MD said they will change it. In 2008, when there was a GNU, the MDC itself ended up conceding that the land is irreversible. The issue of indigenization in 2007, MDC said they are going to reverse it, there won't be any indigenization. But as you know, indigenization is proceeding. We have community share ownership scheme, and the program of indigenization is continuing. So this is a result of the person and the fiber of His Excellency, the President. A man who can stand before the international community and challenge the international bullies and commit that he is going to serve his people. President Mugabe himself, I don't think he would aspire to have more than what he has at the moment. But for the sake of his people, he is priceless and no one can buy him. And definitely, when he commits to undertake an economic program or any social program, history has shown that in the last 30 years he's done that. Yes, President Mugabe is...
Let me hold you there.
Yeah.
So far, would you say what he's saying is true?
Well, I don't know. I have not associated with President Mugabe. What I know about him is what I've read in newspapers, and growing up, he's the only president I have known since I was born, which is unprecedented in the history of many countries. I think that what Zimbabweans want to listen to are the issues of what it is that you're going to do. I don't think that they are so much worried about, personalities and so forth. Because if we go into personalities, we then go into the history of delivery and what has happened in the last 33 years. I don't think that debate is going to be very useful in terms of moving this country forward. What Zimbabweans would like to see, are programs and activities on the ground that are going to ensure that, number one, they freely express themselves in terms of the political choice that they want to make. Number two, they participate effectively in the economic activities of the country. Number three, they enjoy their life. They get the benefits that they're supposed to be getting. And that's what we are promising as the MDC. If I go into the specifics of our election manifesto, the number one issue that we are talking about is that of our governance framework. We are saying the number one problem that we have had in this country is that we have had a state that has failed to uphold the values of humanity, respect for human rights, and building a governance framework that allows citizens to participate in political activities, in economic activities, in social activities. So we are saying that's the number one problem. That is why we pushed for a new constitution. We were at the forefront. 1999, when we were formed as a political party, the Working People's Convention of February identified the issue of a constitution as the number one problem of this country. And I'm happy that we now have a new constitution. We pushed vigorously for that. The next stage of our governance struggle is to ensure that this constitution actually delivers in terms of people actually enjoying lives and making sure that the key provisions that are in this constitution change the political culture in this country.
Okay, just hold on, Mr. Mangongera. I would ask you the same question. Is he speaking the truth?
Well, I think the first president of this country was President Kenan Banana, and he was alive by then. And definitely President Mugabe took over 7 years later. The issues here is that our argument as ZANU-PF is when we commit with the people, the character of the person leading that party or which is going to form a government to deliver on the manifesto guarantees that definitely the manifesto is going to be honored. And we are saying President Mugabe has promised land, he has promised education, and he has done that, and Mangongera is one of the beneficiaries of the ZANU-PF's initiative to ensure that education itself in the country is spread to everybody, especially primary education, and hence today we're the highest in the world in terms of our literacy levels. And this was against the advice from IMF and other Western countries because they felt that the continued education program was going to over-empower us and definitely lead to what it is today where we really want to control our economy. Again, President Mugabe, the character of President Mugabe is some character that that morally he tends to represent what the generality of our Zimbabweans would want to live in terms of moral values, in terms of our social values. For instance, the issue of sexual rights, as MDC would want it, he has stood his ground, and Africa salutes them to make sure that the issues of homosexuality itself will not happen.
In other words, you're saying the MDCT supports homosexuality?
Yes, Prime Minister Mchangirai at a joint rally in Chitungwiza mentioned that he will not support homosexuality and 2 weeks later he was in London at a BBC Hard Talk and he said he would want a constitution that recognizes the rights of the homosexuality.
Can you just stop there? This is melting pot. Let's continue. Mr. Charles Mangongera, is it true that the MDCT endorses homosexuality? What's the correct position?
Well, I don't know where he's getting that position. I think that I'm here to discuss the election manifesto, which are the issues that Zimbabweans would want to talk about. And
don't run away from it. Discuss homosexuality.
I don't know where he's getting the
but as a party, would you say the MDCT supports homosexuality? Just be clear to the viewers. Yeah. Do you, as a party, support it or you don't?
No, I'm saying I'm here to discuss the election manifesto.
But I'm just asking.
Because that's what you invited me to discuss.
But you're representing MDC.
If the issue of homosexuality is in the manifestos of any of the parties, I'm happy to discuss it. But I would want to move on to some of the key issues.
But that's a very
that
fundamental issue, which we just need clarification, because you're coming from the MDCT.
Well,
I'm asking a simple question.
We don't support homosexuality.
Clear.
Thank you very much. Can I move on to the other issue?
Now you can move on, because
Yes.
you've set it clear now.
Yes. The number two issue that we are talking about in terms of the, after we have talked about the governance system of the country, ensuring that we have a functional constitution, ensuring that we strengthen the institutions of democracy in the country, including the judiciary, the role of the public media. I'm happy that you gave us this invitation. Of course, too late. We know that a lot of people are watching this election, so obviously parties have to be given enough space. But I think that the role of the public media and so forth, that's what we would like to see. The second issue that we are talking about is the issue of the economy. I think that Zimbabweans are aware of the amount of damage that has happened to our economy in terms of joblessness, in terms of the collapse or even social infrastructure. And we are saying as a party, we are coming in with a comprehensive program to ensure that we revive Zimbabwe, we revive industries, we make sure that Zimbabwe becomes the manufacturing hub that it once was, and we play our role as one of the regional powerhouses in this country. The number three issue is that of infrastructure.
We need to take a break here. Still watching this special edition of Melting Pot. Remember, in the studio we've got Mr. Tafadzwa Msarara from ZANU PF, as well as Mr. Charles Mangongera from the MDCT. Please don't go anywhere. We'll be back with the third and final segment. Thank you for staying with us. This is the third and final segment. Remember, in the studio, we've got Mr. Tafadzwa Msarara from ZANU PF, as well as Mr. Charles Mangongera from the MDCT. Let me move on to Mr. Msarara. I'll come back to you, Mr. Mangongera. What is the Zimbabwean national interest?
The Zimbabwean national interest, from a ZANU PF perspective, is sovereignty over its natural resources. The issues of patriotism and the issues of sovereignty of our political power, devoid of external interferences. I'll start with the sovereignty over national resources. Our manifesto is very clear that we need to leverage the national endowment that we have, where we feel that the mineral deposits, the mineral wealth, the timber that we have, and anything from which God gave us should be used as part of our equity when we are attracting investment. Unlike the MDC, where you call for investors and they come and own it and then they give you jobs, we are simply saying we are owning the resources. When investment comes in, we leverage that to form that investment, and we have control in the management and in the disposal of those resources. And in the process, of course, we'll create employment. When it comes to political sovereignty, we are simply saying that Zimbabwe is an independent state that should make its own independent decision, devoid of external interventions or interferences, which are not according to its own thinking. And in this case, a number of issues come. The issues of homosexuality comes. The issues of economic plans comes. Our manifesto, ZANU PF, this is a homegrown political plan, an economic plan that we would want to deliver in the next 5 years. And it does not come from London, it does not come from anywhere. It put people first, and we believe that this plan is people-centered and is going to make sure that we prioritize Zimbabweans become a priority in all the economic activities that we do. They come first.
All right. Let's hear from the MDCT. What's their description of the Zimbabwean national interest, Mr. Mangongera?
Well, I think that the Zimbabwean national interest is about defending the ideals of the liberation struggle in this country. There are men and women, tens of thousands of men and women who shed their blood to make sure that this country attains national independence. And there were values that they were fighting for. And those are the same values that every average Zimbabwean would tell you that they are still fighting for. And those are the values that we stand for as a political party. You are talking about the values of universal suffrage, ensuring that every Zimbabwean citizen has an opportunity to elect a leader of their choice, whether it's at the council level, whether it's at the National Assembly level, and whether it's at the Senate level or the presidential level. It's about universal suffrage, giving Zimbabweans an opportunity to elect a government of their choice. It's also about building a non-racial society where we respect each other and we don't judge each other on the basis of the color of our skin, our sexuality, our sex, or
Mr. Mangongera, let me just stop you there. When you say we don't judge people according to their sexuality, just be clear. So which means, as an MDC party, I bring back that question. What do you mean, okay? What do you mean when you say you support?
We don't judge people on the basis of whether they are men or women. People have an equal opportunity to participate, whether it's in leadership, whether it's in economic activities, whether you're a woman or a man. You have an equal opportunity. That's the kind of society that we want to build. We want to avoid a sexist society. And I just want to urge Zimbabweans that, I think that people are concerned about, issues of livelihoods and delivery, economic delivery. They don't really want us to waste a lot of national energy and resources debating whether one is gay or not. I don't think that that's a helpful discussion.
So the MDC does not care whether one is gay or homosexual. It's okay.
I'm not saying that's what the MDC.
What are you saying?
I'm saying Zimbabweans have to participate effectively in issues of their social and economic survival.
Okay.
Whether they are a man or woman, we don't judge. We also want to build
whether they are homosexual. You don't judge.
What's this obsession? What's this obsession with the homosexuality?
Because I'm talking about social values.
Yeah.
I'm looking at the MDCT, how you look at these social values.
Yeah.
And I asked you a question of homosexuality. As the MDCT, what's your take on this important aspect of homosexuality?
I'm not going to, as I said, I'm not going to spend a lot of time talking about homosexuality. I told you what our party position is. And I'm here to talk about issues of economic delivery, issues of social delivery, issues that are going to make sure that when Zimbabweans go to elections, they know which political party to vote for, the party that's going to be bringing them jobs, the party that's going to be making sure that they have food on their table. The other issue that I would say defines us in terms of the national interest is that of economic and political participation. We want Zimbabweans to fully participate in economic activities, whether they are gainfully employed, whether they are running their own businesses, whether they are, they are enterprising individuals who come up with innovative ideas that are going to generate new wealth for this country. That's the kind of Zimbabwean ideal that we are fighting for. And we have always defined that from 1999, when we were formed as a political party, to say these are the values that we stand for, the ideals of the liberation struggle. And mind you, we were the first political party, or at least at the time that we were founded as a political party, we identified the issue of land as being key to economic growth and economic revival. And we actually put that as one of the key 5 factors of our manifesto.
Right, let me look at, let's summarize this discussion. I know we'll continue with more of these special editions, but I'll start with, let me start with Mr. Msarara. How would you summarize this discussion as we head for the harmonized elections on the 31st?
Well, the ZANU-PF manifesto is very real and very clear. It promises what it has been doing. It promises what it is able to do and what is real and what is possible to be delivered. We definitely have problems when others... I think MDC is right in making sure that the economy turns into the right trajectory that we all want. But the challenge is their aims and the objectives, their targets are just unreal. For instance, we can't have 1 million jobs in 5 years. Where is investment going to come in to trigger that, the 1 million jobs? Europe is on fire at the moment. You know the problem in Greece. There is lots of people losing jobs in London. And definitely the issue of 1 million locally, you cannot do it in 5 years because the amount of money they would want to bring into the economy or inject in the economy will not definitely translate to 1 million jobs. Lastly, I just want to say that the ZANU-PF itself, we are going with a candidate whose resolve, whose ability to represent the people is well documented, is on record, and we are a party that not only which looks beyond economic issues. We go to cultural to define who we are. What is it that we want? And definitely, if we look too much, put too much emphasis on the economy and what is going to come inside a country from outside, we're not only going to receive the money and investment, we're going to receive foreign or alien cultures that are going to contradict on our beliefs. And ZANU-PF is manifesto is very clear that it is going to censure those such acts.
Those were the last words from Mr. Tafadzwa Musarara from ZANU-PF. And let's hear the last words from Mr. Charles Mangongera from the MDCT.
Well, 1 million jobs in 5 years? Yes, we can. If I can borrow from President Barack Obama, we can create 1 million jobs in the first 5 years of an MDC government. I am confident because I know that we have the plan in this manifesto, and a lot of Zimbabweans will get an opportunity, or we have had an opportunity to read this, will tell you that the things that we are proposing are going to ensure that we create even more than the 5 million jobs. If we had not spent a lot of time talking about homosexuality and all these other things, I think I would have gone into other details of what it is that we are going to be doing. But I can tell you that as a party, we are promising to be providing housing to our people, and that alone, the construction that is going to happen in that area is going to be generating many jobs. Our infrastructure rehabilitation program, building roads, making sure that our railways are functional, that's going to be creating job opportunities for Zimbabweans. Our tourism sector, oh my, it's got the potential to... I think, let me finish. You made your last...
You're left with 8 seconds now.
Our tourism sector also has the potential to create thousands of jobs. And we are saying with the right economic framework, with the right political framework, with the right understanding, with the international engagement that we are talking about, we have the potential to make this country work again. We have the potential to make Zimbabwe the kind of country that many Zimbabweans would like to see.
Well, that was Mr. Charles Mangongera from the MDCT. And as we count down to the 31st of July, remember it's the date for the harmonized elections, we continuously emphasize the aspect of peace, and definitely peace. Let me take this opportunity to thank our two guests, Mr. Tafadzwa Musarara from ZANU-PF. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Not forgetting Mr. Charles Mangongera from the MDCT. We also salute you for joining us.
Thank you very much.
Until we meet again, remember Melting Pot is on every Tuesday from 7 to 7:30. Thank you so much for joining us.